Hi! I feel like this video is such a different mood from last week when we talked about van life and relationships and basically about fighting and like all kind of the nitty-gritty stuff. This week we wanted to do something a little more positive and uplifting, and the sun is shining here in Kelowna. It's absolutely beautiful. So we want to talk about, I think we got 10 things that we absolutely love about van life.
Of course, there are the obvious things like being able to pull up to the front of a lake and open up your doors and, you know, have that kind of an experience. But we kind of wanted to get a little bit more in depth in that and talk about things that you might not really think about when you are converting to van life.
Yeah, like even stuff that maybe some of it will be obvious to you, but definitely things that we didn't think about before that now we are absolutely obsessed with when it comes to living in a van, especially now that the weather's getting better and we're back on the road. So the very first thing that we want to talk about, and if you watch our vlogs you would know that we have mentioned this before, is that we love having all of our stuff with us all of the time. It's like the best thing. For a little while there, Nick was commuting to work in like a 4-door sedan, like aka a normal car. And you were saying, well, I'll just let you say it.
For a while there, I was driving to and from work in my dad's vehicle. So I quickly realized that, you know, I don't have somewhere to charge my phone. I don't have somewhere to like store my food or somewhere to cook my food. I don't have all of the things that I was kind of used to for months prior. It kind of made me realize that that was actually something that I really enjoy about van life, is just like having all the necessities with you all the time.
Yeah, even being like, oh, I want to change, or like I didn't want to wear this pair of shoes today, then you can kind of just switch into that stuff. Or if you're like, I'm hungry, you can always just go in and cook something, which is like, which sounds so funny and doesn't really sound like that big of a deal, but when you kind of get used to having all your stuff with you all the time, you become a little bit more spoiled with that. So it feels weird when you go out and you don't have all your stuff with you all the time. So yeah, that is definitely one of the things that we absolutely love about van life.
Something else that we really love about van life is we built this ourselves, so we built it custom to our needs. If you've watched our previous videos, you know that our build's a relatively simple build, but that being said, we did put in all the necessities that we thought were really important to us when starting van life. So the fact that we custom made the van to fit our needs is definitely a big plus. There's
two things. Like one, aesthetically, we kind of just got to plan out how we want it to look for like a really low price, obviously. We only spent $6,000 on our build and it looks exactly how I imagined it in my head, because you built everything from scratch. So yeah, that's really cool. And just being able to kind of design it how you want. Also, if you ever run into any problems with your build, you can always either tear things out or just kind of add little things. Since we finished our build, we've added multiple things to make our lives easier. Again, if you watch our vlogs, you would know that like recently we just built some spice racks because we didn't like how the spices were in the pantry before. I mean, if you own a house, you can do that as well, but we didn't have that luxury because we've never had enough money to own a house. So we've only ever rented at places before, and you couldn't really make those changes in a rental property. So it is really nice for us because it kind of gives us like a taste of what it would be like to, you know, own our own place. But also, like Nick said, like the building it from the ground up, we kind of got to like think everything out. It's really nice to be able to think everything out and plan things based on your specific needs. So we joked about it in our van tour, but my seat, like we call that my seat on the one side, and I actually love that seat. Like I don't feel like there is anywhere else in the whole world that is a more comfortable seat, because it was made specifically for me, and to be able to work on my computer and lean on the bed, like it's just like the perfect seat. So just silly little things like that, that it's really nice that we were able to incorporate those things and really think about what we wanted and put that in for ourselves. So yeah, that's nice.
Next up for us is grocery shopping. So this one's kind of silly, but instead of having to carry your groceries to your car and then from your car to your home, you get to bring them straight into your car.
Bring the cart right up to the home. to the home.
Yeah, so that's It's kind of a silly one, but yeah, it is convenient.
Honestly, we love it. Yeah,
Yeah.
you literally just bring the basket or the cart right up to the door, and then you can load the fridge and then bring the cart back, and then it's done. It's so funny, but it's just something that we've kind of noticed, and it goes the same for takeout too. Like if we go and we get takeout somewhere, it's not like we take it and then we drive it home to our house. We just kind of take it and then we walk into the back and close the curtains and pull the table out, and we can eat it while it's still hot.
Yeah.
So yeah, another little like funny little pro about van life. I feel like when you're just kind of going to work and coming home and you're in that kind of routine of living in a house or an apartment or whatever, especially in the wintertime here in Canada, you kind of get into that habit. Some people get into that habit of, you know, just watching TV for the sake of it, or just like scrolling on your phone for a while. When you only have so much data, it kind of forces you to see how much, oh, okay, like, you know, we've watched one show already, like that's enough for tonight, or we don't need to like binge watch another show tonight. And sometimes obviously we do that, but we don't do it every night. And I think that's the point. And same with even like scrolling on Instagram or whatever. I just don't really do that as much anymore. Because now I'm aware of it. Whether it's like a shame thing where it's like, oh, now I've noticed it, or because I'm actually trying to preserve power and data and all that kind of stuff, I don't know. But I've realized my screen time has gone down so much since starting van life, and we've really spent so much more of our time outside. At least every morning. Like every morning we get outside, we have to. And
just kind of trailing off that point as well, it also forces you to really think about your power consumption and your water consumption. Again, if you've watched our old vlogs, you know we have 2 massive solar panels, so that really feeds our batteries. But at night, obviously there's no sun, so there's not a lot of solar going down to our batteries. And for water, we just have like 2 jugs, and then our gray water is like a bucket. So we really have to always be aware of how much we're using.
And of course, sometimes, you know, say if you're sick or something, you're just like, oh, I just wish I could just, you know, run a bath or whatever. So that does happen, and it can sometimes be a con. But I do think that it is interesting, especially because we are interested in like solar power, renewable energy, and just the environment really in the future. We do really care about that, and we try to make our own kind of impact. It is kind of interesting to learn about. Even when we were building the van and we were just trying to understand solar power, I was saying to the woman who sold us our solar panels, because we just kept going in there to ask a bunch of questions. That's like a whole other side thing. But I was saying to the woman who sold us our solar panels, I'm like, I just feel so empowered because I know how many watts like all of my things are pulling. I just understand it so much more. And I think that over time, that knowledge that we're accumulating about how much water we really use and how much power we really use will be helpful for us in the future, because we have kind of sidebar have talked about our future and have talked about either like building our own house or building a tiny home and renting it out or something. So these are all kind of ideas for us for the future. So it is, I think, empowering and interesting to know how much power and water we are using. And I do agree that that would be like a pro of van life.
We definitely love, we love our solar power. We love the fact that we have solar power. It's awesome.
It's so cool. I even like still to date, I just think that it's so
our
cool.
Batteries are just sitting at like 100
right now.
A sunny day. It's not even that warm. Well, it's warm in here, but it's not that warm outside. It's like 12 degrees. But it's just a bright, sunny, blue sky day.
Yeah, we have
and
our fridge running. We have the light for the video running right now.
Yeah,
we have our
phones charging, laptop. Like, it doesn't, like, you can pull as much power as you want during the day, but obviously at night you have to be careful.
Be careful, yeah. I always say about travel, and now, of course, van life, that you just learn so many different things that you probably wouldn't have learned otherwise. I would have never probably learned about solar power. I just feel like I've learned so much because of van life and because of travel and stuff.
That's another positive right there. You learn a lot.
You learn a lot. I feel like
that's another thing that, well, at least that I love about van life. I'm sure that I'm speaking for you as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, you learn a lot doing van life, especially if you build your own van. But even if you purchase a van that's pre-built, you really learn a lot about sustainable energy and you know,
and cars,
electricity, cars. Yeah,
you have to know what you're operating and like what's really going on.
Yeah,
it is interesting. I do feel like the knowledge that you gain from doing van life, you will take with you into your future, and Yeah, there's just so many other ways to learn than traditional schooling, right? Not that I'm hating on that. I did traditional schooling too, but you know what I mean. So like Nick said at the beginning of the video, we didn't really want to mention like the obvious ones, but something that I do really want to mention is the obvious freedom to go anywhere and just have all your stuff and just be able to pick up and leave basically whenever you want. If there was a really cool job opportunity on the other side of the province, we would have no problem taking that. We don't really have anything that we're like stuck to other than things that, you know, we like. So Nick is like choosing to stay at his job where we are right now. But
yeah. And like family and friends, obviously. But, you know, that's like the only ties keeping us here, you know.
It's not like we have all this stuff and this
we have the
house
opportunity to leave if we so choose.
At any point in time.
Yeah.
We could leave, we could go to the other side of the province today if we wanted to. So yeah, that is really cool.
But if my employer is watching this, we don't plan on doing that. I like my job.
We're not going anywhere. We're not going anywhere right now. Obviously, we don't spend money on rent or a mortgage or whatever.
But that money instead goes towards trips and adventures and experiences and travel and
yeah. Like we don't have to. You can technically obviously do van life and not go anywhere, which is completely fine. And you know, there are all sorts of reasons why people do it. We have mentioned this before, but we'll mention it again. Like we obviously have chosen really is the real word. We do van life by choice. And some people have different circumstances that have brought them to do it, maybe not by choice. So, but for us, particularly in our situation and for people who are in a situation similar to ours, that money that we would have spent on rent is kind of extra money that we didn't like giving to someone that we don't know. And that money now we can spend on things that we want to spend it on, which is travel.
Travel, we can go
and we do spend
bowling, we can go to a mini golf course.
The money that we would have spent on going to someone to help them pay their mortgage, we get to spend that money on seeing where we live and being able to explore our surroundings and get outside and go on hikes. And like sometimes things go wrong, as you know if you follow this channel, but all of that money, I really feel it is really empowering, feeling like the money that we're spending is going towards stuff that we want to do, even though sometimes, not gonna lie, gas can be really expensive, especially going up the mountains here in BC. Like, and we drive around this gas guzzler, which obviously is a huge con of having an ambulance, which we talk about in our ambulance pros and cons video. But it's our choice, and I think that's really the point. Everything that we spend money on, every change that we make to our van, every trip that we go on, it's our choice, and we kind of get to live our dream instead of having to fulfill someone else's dream to pay off mortgage or have rental properties or whatever it is. So obviously no shame on how you live your life, but we did really want to talk about today what we have loved about van living that we didn't really think about before, I guess.
Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. We really appreciate it, and we will see you in the next video. Bye.
Bye.